Good afternoon, everyone. Here's an update for July 29th. Sorry I haven't posted one. I had to get through a visit with a series of VIPs yesterday for sure, and all the planning for that, and I ran point for that. But I got to meet with the VA Secretary, Dennis McDonough, and he's a very cool dude. He also used to be the Chief of Staff for Obama, and actually he gave me a challenge coin, so it was very cool of him. I don't know if you guys can see it, but for those of you that don't know, challenge coins are like kind of cool little trinkets that military members give each other, and also high level members of the government give each other. But yeah, so that's where I've kind of been at for the little bit past couple days. Anyways, also big thanks for everyone who donated. Another donation went up yesterday or this morning. Yeah, this morning to Action Against Hunger. We donated $622. I'll put that receipt at the end of the video. Moving on to what's going on in Ukraine, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has had a very frank and direct conversation with Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. This was the first time the two of them have spoken since the war in Ukraine broke out. Blinken told Lavrov that the world will never recognize the annexation of those areas that Russia has taken in Ukraine. It also would be hit with additional costs if it continues to take the path it's on right now. Secretary Blinken also said that Russia must fulfill its commitments made as part of the deal on the export of grain from Ukraine, so to allow that grain to get out. But it was said to be very frank and direct, and I'm sure there's more spoken between the two of them that they're not sharing, but that is what we know so far. Gazprom senior manager has said that the delivery of the Nord Stream 1 gas turbine to Germany from Canada instead of going directly to Russia for maintenance was not in line with their contract. Additionally, they said that Siemens Energy, who is the company that did the repairs, did not fix all of the faults, saying they only fixed about a quarter of the faults that were found. So I'm assuming that's probably just aligning them up to say that there's all these faults still, and the turbine's not going to work, and they're going to shut down pipeline, not because of policy, but because of maintenance. Meanwhile, Siemens obviously is saying we fixed everything, and I tend to trust them more than I would trust the Russian government. The armed forces of Russian Federation carried out targeted artillery shelling on a correctional institution in the settlement of Olenivka, which is in Donetsk, where Ukrainian prisoners of war were being held. It killed 40 Ukrainian prisoners of war. Now, it's being said that Wagner Group was responsible for the missile attack. Russia's saying Ukraine attacked it. But this is actually an old Soviet tactic. They did this in the Katyn massacre, or Katyn massacre in 1940, where they killed POWs and then blamed their adversary for doing it. So this is old news for Russia. They've done this before, this type of really war criminality in the past. Ukraine has said it is prepared to replace 5 to 6 billion cubic meters of Russian gas in Europe starting this year. In addition, they'll provide 12 billion cubic meters of storage capacity for European strategic reserves, although this is only a small fraction of the 157 billion used by the EU. When you couple that with Canadian, American, and Middle Eastern gas, the EU actually has a pretty solid plan to at least keep the heat on for this winter as they pivot away from Russian gas. Russia is redeploying 8 to 9 battalion tactical groups from the eastern front of the Donbass to Crimea in order to bolster support of the Russian lines in the face of Ukrainian counterattacks in the region. Multiple experts across various defense agencies have determined Russia is now in a weakened position in that region, shaping operations by the Ukrainians in the form of artillery attacks, special operations forces, incursions, as well as some additional suburban battles are taking place daily to affect a potential outcome of a major battle for Kherson that is likely imminent. Ukraine has told Russian troops in the area to retreat or be annihilated. Meanwhile, Russian military bloggers are becoming outright hostile towards the Kremlin as it's failed to field a missile system as effective as the HIMARS or even an effective counter to the HIMARS. Congresswoman Elisa Slotkin, who serves on the House Armed Services Committee, told CNN that there is a bipartisan support for sending Ukraine ATACMS missiles that can strike as far as 280 kilometers into Russian territory. The Senate unanimously approved a non-binding resolution on Wednesday calling for Secretary of State Antony Blinken to designate Russia as a state sponsor of terrorism for actions in Chechnya, Georgia, Syria, and the Ukraine that has, quote, resulted in the deaths of countless innocent men, women, and children. Russian proxies are now withholding humanitarian aid to force civilians to cooperate in Mariupol. The expert said that Russian proxies are leveraging food aid and other humanitarian assistance to force the population to demine the area, as well as clear rubble for the Russians, as the Russian soldiers just sit around and do nothing but obviously build up defenses in the face of potential counterattacks. Russian space officials have informed the U.S. officially that they would like to keep flying its cosmonauts on board the International Space Station until their own orbital outpost is built and operational. This is according to a senior NASA official. So that means that they probably want to stay on the International Space Station indefinitely, because I don't foresee Russia building its own fucking space station in the next decade. So there's that. Russia is struggling to actually keep up with keyboards, and this is part of the reason why I don't think they're going to fucking get to space anytime soon with their own space station. Things like laptops, peripherals, all those things that are acquired under the parallel import scheme that weren't designed for Russian speakers in mind, and it's causing problems for the workers in Russia. Now, for example, Apple products are no longer sold in Russia, but Russian retailers can get Apple products from other countries through their parallel imports. So countries that aren't sanctioned but are still friendly, such as Serbia, China, etc. Well, the problem is these countries get Apple products that are in Chinese or in Serbian, which is not Russian. So when they give them to Russia or sell them to Russia as a third party, these devices are set up for the Chinese and Serbian users, including the keyboards. So it's causing massive problems in efficiency, massive problems in trying to translate, and it's almost kind of comical that this is kind of working out this way against Russia. Multiple instances of filmed torture are now taking place by the Russian military against Ukrainian POWs. One video showed a Russian soldier castrating a Ukrainian prisoner. Another showed Russians dragging a Ukrainian behind their vehicle, and a third showed Russians stuffing socks, unit patches, body parts, sometimes the prisoner's own body parts, and other things into their captives' mouths. So just horrible war crimes continue to be conducted by the Russians. There's some updated equipment losses that have come out of Russia and leaked documents from the government, and that include Russia has lost 4,975 vehicles in total. This includes 3,165 that were destroyed, 103 damaged, 323 that were abandoned, and 1,384 that were captured. Of the most important vehicle, obviously tanks, 900 have been destroyed, 44 have been damaged, 34 abandoned, 49 have been abandoned, 554 have destroyed, 34 were damaged, and 273 captured. Bottom line is 900 tanks were lost by Russia. I know that got confusing there at the end. The U.S. has said that Russia has suffered at least 75,000 casualties, to include killed, wounded, captured, and deserted. This is half the initial force that Russia entered Ukraine with. This surpasses actually the U.S. dead and wounded from both the Iraq and Afghanistan by nearly 20,000 soldiers. And those wars lasted years. I mean, Afghanistan was 20 years long. Russia's been in Ukraine for less than 6 months. From a purely deaths standpoint, even using the most stingy estimate of 15,000 dead by the CIA, which is almost certainly more than that, Russia is losing 97 soldiers per day. For comparison, the U.S. lost 30 soldiers per day in Korea, 11 per day in Vietnam, and 2.4 per day in Afghanistan and Iraq combined. Only World War I, World War II, and the American Civil War did the U.S. lose more troops per day than Russia is losing in Ukraine right now. And that 97 troops per day could be double depending on whose numbers you use. So that's everything for today. I think I'm going to do a separate video about some daily updates with China specifically, because there's a lot going on there as well. I'm not sure yet. Depends on how busy I am. But thanks, everyone. Keep donating. That's amazing. And here is the image of the receipt from the donation this week. Have a good day, everyone.